I knew something was wrong with her the moment she stepped out of the car. We just pulled into this half-dead gas station off I-40, middle of nowhere. Some forgotten strip of asphalt between Memphis and Asheville. The kind of place where time feels off. Empty fields on one side, a rusted chain-link fence on the other. Heat rising off the pavement like smoke. She unbuckled fast, didn't even wait for the car to come to a full stop. "I really have to pee," she said, already opening the door. But the way she said it, sharp, breathy, almost annoyed, I don't know, it didn't sound like her. And then she walked off, didn't look back, didn't ask if I wanted a drink or anything, just disappeared inside. I stayed in the car for a bit, watching the cracked gas pump screen scroll, "Please insert card," over and over. Something was off. I could feel it in my chest. That subtle pressure, like something crawling just beneath your skin. We were on our way to her dad's birthday. 6 hours in the car, mostly quiet. She hadn't touched my hand once. No singing along to the radio. No remember when conversations. Just blank stares out the window and occasional sighs that I was supposed to ignore. When she left the car like that, hurried, almost nervous, I told myself I was overthinking. But deep down, I wasn't. I was right. I pumped the gas, cleaned the windshield. 10 minutes passed. 15. By 20, I walked inside. No sign of her. The guy behind the counter didn't even look up from his magazine when I asked if he'd seen a woman. Brunette, jeans, green shirt. He just shrugged. "Try out back." Out back? That's when I noticed the hallway. Faded exit sign above the door, barely hanging. I walked down it slow, each step louder than the last on that dirty tile floor. At the end, a back door. Slightly open. I stopped when I heard it. A sound I'd never forget. Her laugh. Soft. Intimate. The kind of laugh she used to save for me. I leaned in, looked through the gap, and there she was, my wife, pinned between a wall and a man I'd never seen before. A stranger. Hands all over her. His truck parked just outside, engine idling like it was waiting for something or someone to finish. I froze. I didn't go in. I didn't yell. I just backed away, walked back to the car, and sat behind the wheel. She came back 7 minutes later, cheeks flushed, said the bathroom was disgusting, laughed it off like she wasn't just with someone else moments before. And I drove. I drove like I didn't see what I saw, but everything inside me had already changed. She kept talking after we pulled out of that gas station. Just little things, comments about the road, the weather, the playlist. Her voice had this forced cheerfulness to it, like she was performing for an audience that had already left the theater. I didn't say a word. The weirdest part? She didn't seem to notice. Or if she did, she pretended not to. That's what really stuck in my head. I kept thinking, does she really think I'm that blind? That stupid? That empty? We drove for over an hour in silence. At some point, she leaned her head back, closed her eyes, and mumbled something like, "Wake me when we're close." Then she dozed off, just like that, like nothing happened. And I sat there, both hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my fingers were going numb, thinking, what the hell do I do now? I didn't want to ruin her dad's birthday weekend. That's the kind of guy I was. Always putting things off to keep the peace. Always pushing down what I felt so no one else had to be uncomfortable. I told myself I'd wait until the weekend was over, confront her after we got back home. But even in that moment, I knew I was lying to myself. We got to Asheville just before sunset. Her mom hugged us at the door. Her dad was out back grilling burgers. Their dog barked like crazy, tail wagging, like everything was normal. It was the most surreal thing I've ever experienced. Watching her hug her parents, laugh with her brother, hold her baby niece. All with those same hands she had wrapped around some stranger behind a gas station wall just hours earlier. That night, lying in the guest room, I watched her sleep next to me, peaceful, like she had no guilt, like her soul had gone completely numb. And still, I said nothing. But I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling until dawn, every second stretching longer than the last. And in that dark quiet, I started making a plan. I wasn't just going to ask her about it. I was going to prove it. I started watching her, closely, quietly. I paid attention to her phone habits, her bathroom breaks, how often she went to check on the dog, or stepped outside for air. Every movement started to look suspicious. But I didn't say a word. I just observed. And the weird thing was, she started acting more affectionate after that trip, almost like she was trying to patch something. Random kisses, asking if I needed help with things, laughing harder at my bad jokes. It felt hollow, like she was playing a version of herself that used to love me. But I wasn't buying it. When we got back home 2 days later, I waited until she was asleep and went through her phone. She had changed her passcode. First time she'd ever done that. That told me everything I needed to know. Still, I wasn't stupid. I didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, I pulled our phone records. She didn't know I had login access to our shared account through the carrier's portal. I wasn't looking for names, just patterns. And sure enough, one number stood out, not saved as a contact, but there, every day, usually during work hours. Sure calls, texts, all clustered around the same time each morning and again late at night. I punched the number into a reverse lookup site. No name, just a location ping. Knoxville. Of course it was Knoxville. I wrote the number down and stared at it for a while, wondering what kind of man would take a woman behind a gas station with a wedding ring on her finger. Did he even know she was married? Did he care? Later that week, I called the number from a burner app. It rang twice, then went to voicemail. No name, just a gravelly voice saying, "You know what to do." I didn't leave a message. I saved the recording. I waited 3 days. 3 days after that trip. 3 days of sharing the same bed, sitting across from her at dinner, hearing her say, "I love you," like it still meant something. And every second of it made my skin crawl. On the 4th day, I couldn't hold it in anymore. We were having dinner. Just pizza, quiet night, TV murmuring in the background. She was telling me some story about a coworker at her office, and I was staring at her, thinking, "You really think I don't know? You really think I'm that blind?" I put my slice down, wiped my hands, and asked, "Who's the guy from Knoxville?" She froze. Not even a flinch. A full body pause. Like someone had pulled her plug and all her systems needed a reboot. "What?" she said, her voice going high, fake confused. "What guy?" I didn't blink. "Don't lie to me. I've seen the phone records." She leaned back in her chair, arms crossed, and gave this little scoff laugh like I'd just accused her of robbing a bank. "Seriously? Are you checking up on me now?" That's where we're at. No denial, no confusion, just deflection. A seasoned liar. "You disappeared behind a gas station in the middle of nowhere for 20 minutes, I said quietly. "I saw you." That wiped the smug look off her face. There was a long silence. She looked down at the table. Her voice came out smaller. I didn't do anything. I was just talking to someone. He asked me for help." "You kissed him," I said. "I saw it." She blinked a few times. Her mouth opened, closed. No words came out. Then came the tears. Of course, the tears. "It didn't mean anything," she said, like that made it better. "I wasn't thinking. I don't even know his name, I swear. It just happened. You just happened to cheat on your husband during a bathroom break." She started sobbing harder. Wiped her eyes dramatically. "You've been so distant lately." I didn't feel loved. I felt invisible. There it was, the justification. And I realized then, this wasn't about guilt. She wasn't sorry. She was sorry she got caught. I stood up. "We're done talking. I'm getting everything in writing." She looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean, get a lawyer." And I walked out. That night, she didn't sleep. Not because she was heartbroken or filled with remorse. She stayed up pacing the kitchen, calling out softly, "Can we talk?" Every half hour like I hadn't already said what needed saying. I locked the bedroom door. She knocked once, waited, then whispered, "I made a mistake, okay? Just one." I wasn't thinking. But by then I'd already started digging. The next morning, after she left for work, I pulled out my laptop and logged into our shared phone account again. That same Knoxville number had called her twice after we got back. One call at 1:12 a.m., the night after I confronted her. She picked up. That was all I needed to know. I copied everything, call logs, timestamps, message counts, into a document. But I needed more. Something undeniable. So I called an old friend, Mason, tech guy. Used to do IT security for a private firm, now freelance. I asked if he could help recover deleted texts or files from her phone. He gave me a look. You sure you want to know all of it? Yeah, I said. I want everything. Every disgusting, lying detail. That night, I pretended to be civil. Asked if I could borrow her phone to check our banking app. She handed it over, acting surprised but relieved, like I was coming around. I passed it to Mason the next day. It took him 4 hours. What he found made my chest go numb. Photos. Selfies in that gas station bathroom mirror. Texts with location pins. Him calling her baby. Her writing. I wish we had more than just one stop. That wasn't enough. She said she didn't know his name. But there it was. Will. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't even shake. I just printed everything, stapled it, and called my lawyer. Her name was Andrea Kent, my lawyer. I picked her because she didn't blink when I told her what happened. No sugarcoating. No sympathetic head tilts. Just, you have proof. I slid the folder across her desk. She opened it slowly, flipping through screenshots, printouts, phone logs, and a highlighted timeline. You want to file for divorce? I nodded. And you want it to hurt? I looked her dead in the eyes. I want her to understand what she broke. Andrea leaned back in her chair and crossed one leg over the other. Then we're going after everything. Joint assets. The house. Retirement. If she had an affair, and we prove it, you've got leverage. But we have to be careful. If she claims emotional neglect, or says you knew about the cheating and forgave her, it weakens your position. I wasn't worried about that. I never forgave her. I never even knew who she really was until that day behind the gas station. We started building the case. She had me gather all financial records, bank statements, credit card transactions, even our shared Amazon account. Turns out, she'd been buying things and shipping them to a P.O. box I didn't even know she had. Gifts, most likely. I didn't want to know what. Andrea recommended I play it calm until the papers were ready. No more fights. No more accusations. Let her think you're softening, that she's got a shot at fixing this. We want her unprepared. It felt wrong to pretend like things were okay, but Andrea was right. Every word out of my wife's mouth was manipulation now. Apologies laced with self-pity, promises to go to counseling or try a fresh start. She even brought up kids, said maybe it was time to start trying, like a child could undo betrayal. I played my part, smiled when she brought me coffee in the morning, let her kiss me on the cheek when she left for work. Inside, I was ice. And then, the opening I didn't expect, she forgot to log out of her email. I clicked. There were old emails from a burner Gmail, photos, explicit messages, even travel plans. She was planning to meet up with Will again in 2 weeks. A motel reservation in Kentucky, under a fake name. That was the final nail. I printed every email and sent them to Andrea the next morning. This isn't just cheating, she said. This is calculated, patterned. You're going to walk out of this cleaner than most men ever do. Let's file. And just like that, it became real. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was her plaintiff. The day the papers were ready, I didn't file them immediately. I waited. Andrea said timing matters. Let her dig her own hole. Let her show her real face once she thinks she's safe again. That's what we needed, not just proof of the affair, but proof of her nature. Deception, manipulation, carelessness. So I waited. Meanwhile, my wife was acting like a woman possessed, baking, cleaning, buying me stupid little gifts like flannel shirts and coffee mugs that said, #OneHusband. It was nauseating. She started talking about weekend getaways and dropping phrases like, remember how we used to be? Every other hour. But she was slipping. One night, I was on the couch, and she handed me her laptop to look at a hotel she wanted to book for a romantic reset weekend. She forgot she was still logged into her email. Same inbox I'd seen earlier, now with fresh mail. There it was. A new message from him. Will. Subject line. Next stop, Kentucky. She opened it right in front of me without realizing. I didn't flinch. I didn't say a word. I just watched as her face went pale, then flushed red, like all the blood in her body had suddenly reversed direction. Oh, that's spam, she mumbled, slamming the laptop shut. I raised an eyebrow. From Will. She froze. Her mouth opened like she was about to lie again, but I beat her to it. You forgot to log out last time. I saw it all. The motel reservation, the fake name, the photos, everything. She stood up slowly. Her hands were shaking. Then came that familiar reflex, the tears. The same one she used at the kitchen table. The same one she used when I first caught her in Knoxville. But this time, they didn't work. Please, she said. Please don't do this. I wasn't going to go. I canceled it. I swear. I just didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know how to come clean. You didn't cancel it, I said. It's still active. I checked with the motel this morning. That was the final flip. She went from weepy to angry in a heartbeat. You've been spying on me? Going behind my back? What kind of husband does that? I laughed. You cheated behind my back. Behind a gas station. Then in our house. And you're asking what kind of husband I am? She glared at me. The tears were gone now. No more fake softness. You never loved me the way I needed. There it was. The truth. Not the truth about the cheating, the truth about her. About who she really was under all the apologies and excuses. I stood up, looked her in the eye, and calmly said, Your lawyer will be hearing from mine tomorrow. I walked away while she stood in the living room, silent, still gripping her phone in her hand like it could save her. She didn't believe I'd actually go through with it. Even after everything, the confrontation, the emails, the motel reservation, part of her still thought I was bluffing, that I'd cool off, that I'd miss her too much to follow through. But she didn't know who she was dealing with anymore. I dropped the papers on the dining table the next morning before leaving for work. Her name, typed clean across the top in bold font, respondent. No warning, no explanation, just the cold, quiet sting of legal reality. I didn't come home that night. I stayed with a buddy from work, Greg. He didn't ask many questions, just handed me a beer, turned on the game, and said, You'll land on your feet, man. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed every hour. Calls, voicemails, texts. The first few were crying emojis and please talk to me messages. Then came the essays, long blocks of text about how I was being cruel, how we'd been through too much to just throw it away. And finally, threats. You'll regret this. You don't understand what you're doing. That one made me smile. Because actually, I understood perfectly. When I came back the next day, she was still in the house, sitting on the couch like someone waiting to hear whether a family member survived surgery. You're really doing this, she said, voice raw. I already did. She followed me down the hallway, trailing behind like a shadow that wouldn't leave. We can fix this. I'm willing to go to therapy. I'll delete everything. I'll change my number. Please, don't throw us away. I turned and looked her dead in the eye. You threw us away at a gas station in Tennessee. Don't talk to me about fixing it. Then she played her final card. I'm pregnant. I stared at her, not blinking. She expected shock. She expected me to freeze, maybe even to drop the case. But I'd already read the email exchange between her and Will about how she missed her period and wasn't sure who the father was. I said nothing. She broke first. Okay, maybe I'm not. I thought I was. I was scared. No, I said. You thought that lie might keep me here. And with that, she realized it was over. Her face changed. She stopped pretending. No more warmth. No more emotion. Just ice. Fine. If that's how you want to play it, she said. You'll see what I'm capable of. I didn't even flinch. So will the judge. Court felt colder than I expected. Not physically, emotionally. Sterile. Quiet. Like no one was really listening until someone raised their voice. Like all the pain and betrayal somehow had to be squeezed into forms and facts and legal jargon. But I was ready. Andrea sat beside me, calm as ever, flipping through our binder. She'd sectioned everything. The call logs, the emails, the deleted text Mason pulled from her phone, the motel receipts, the photos, everything. Organized. Time-stamped. Ironclad. My wife walked in 10 minutes late. She looked put together. Hair done. Light makeup. Black dress. Like she thought this was some kind of stage, and if she looked broken enough, someone would hand her sympathy. She sat on the other side of the room, next to her lawyer, a young guy with a soft handshake and expensive shoes. She whispered something to him and glanced over at me. I didn't look away. When the judge came in, everything got quiet. Then it began. Her lawyer tried to frame it like I was controlling, that I'd snooped, stalked, made her feel unsafe. He said we'd grown distant, that she made a mistake, but I was turning it into a war, that my anger was disproportionate. Andrea let him talk. Then she stood and handed the judge a thick packet, Exhibit A. Your Honor, she said, This isn't about distance. It's about a sustained pattern of deceit. My client has provided digital proof of an extramarital affair, planned travel for continued infidelity, a false pregnancy claim, and financial activity suggesting concealment of funds. She let it sit for a second, then added, almost casually, "There's also evidence that the respondent used aliases to book motel rooms. We've included those confirmations as well." The judge raised an eyebrow. My wife's lawyer stuttered, clearly caught off guard. He asked for a recess. Denied. And that's when she snapped. Right there in court, she stood up and blurted, "You think he was perfect? You think you didn't make me feel invisible for years?" The judge told her to sit. She didn't. "I made a mistake, okay? I needed to feel something. I was lonely. But he's acting like I murdered someone." Her lawyer was trying to pull her down, telling her to stop. She shook him off. "You think I'm the only one? He never touched me for months before that trip. He practically pushed me away. I didn't say a word. Neither did Andrea. Because she just made our case for us. Public admission of the affair, emotional manipulation, and a total collapse of her credibility." When the judge finally dismissed for the day, Andrea turned to me and whispered, "You just won. She doesn't know it yet, but you did." The judgment came 2 weeks later. I got the call while I was sitting alone in my apartment, the one I'd moved into after leaving the house. It was small, half-furnished, still smelled like paint and cardboard. I hadn't unpacked much. I was waiting, holding my breath. Andrea's voice was calm but solid. "It's over. The judge ruled in our favor. Full division to you. House, savings, car, pension protections. She's walking away with her personal belongings and whatever's left in her name." I didn't say anything at first. "You okay?" she asked. I let out a breath. "Yeah, I think I am." She tried to fight it, right up until the end. Filed a last-minute objection claiming emotional abuse. Claimed I manipulated the narrative. Tried to accuse Andrea of coaching me. But it was all noise, no facts, no proof. And once the judge read through the timeline, the tone of the courtroom shifted. Even her lawyer seemed to know it was done. The final decree came with the judge's closing statement. "The respondent's pattern of behavior demonstrates a disregard for the responsibilities of marriage and honest partnership. The petitioner has provided substantial evidence of deception, financial misconduct, and emotional manipulation. Therefore, full allocation of primary assets shall go to the petitioner." The words didn't feel like revenge. They felt like closure. She didn't reach out after that. Not once. No apology. No follow-up. Nothing. Just silence. Maybe out of pride. Maybe because she'd finally realized the game was up. Or maybe because deep down, she knew she didn't deserve forgiveness. I went back to that gas station once. Just to see it. It looked exactly the same. Same dusty pumps. Same flickering sign. Same broken vending machine by the door. But it didn't feel like the place where I lost something anymore. It felt like the place where I woke up. Where I stopped waiting to be respected. Where I stopped begging for truth from someone who only spoke lies. Where I stopped being hers. I don't tell people the whole story. Not unless they ask. But when they do, when someone asks why I'm not married anymore, I just say this. She made a choice. And I made mine.